Hey Trans Youth, it is another beautiful Monday here in Colorado, although it's freezing. The topic for today, I don't necessarily want anyone to confuse as male privilege or female responsibility, but it is about what we have lost in transition. What we used to be able to do as our genders that we started with, and what we can no longer do now that we are progressing through transition. So right now, on this Monday night, are my top 5 things that I wish I could still do. So without further ado, number 1 is not having to tuck. Tucking is not necessarily a nuisance throughout my daily life, as I have to do it all the time, every single day, and multiple different times throughout the day. Every time I go to the bathroom, I have to do the old tuck. And then I have to wear these tight underwear in order to make sure that they don't go. And if I'm wearing a skirt, I always have to wear something that is so unbelievably constricting just to make sure nothing shows. Now, the reason why I miss not having to tuck is because it actually does kind of damage me a little bit, especially when things just start chafing because things are in between my legs, and I'd really rather not experience that. Awkward? I think yes. So we're moving on. Number 2, a little bit more lighthearted. I am not able to speak in a very low voice. To be honest, I really enjoyed making jokes with that incredibly deep voice in addition to a somewhat higher voice. So it would always sound really low, and I'd just be like, why would you do that, Sam? I mean, what are you talking about? And seriously, this is the lowest I can go now. So while those jokes are still valid because I can go that low and then I can go this high and everything like that, it just doesn't have that same comedic reference there, if that makes any sense. Number 3, being invisible. As a guy, I didn't really have a personality. I didn't really have a style. I didn't have a look. I wasn't particularly attractive. And whenever someone came to me to talk to me, yes, I did have the things to say. I was fairly intelligent and everything. But for the most part, I wasn't really someone who attracted very many people. Now, as a girl, I get a lot of guys who come up to me and they hit on me, or they talk to me, or because my style, my personality has changed so much now that I'm able to be myself, I get a lot of people who come up to me, ask me multiple different questions, try to hit on me, and do all this stuff. So I get a lot of this attention, and I'm visible now. Don't get me wrong, this is actually a really good thing because it means that I'm living my life and I'm communicating with others, and that's awesome. But in some cases, it can just get a little bit on the tiring side. Not to mention, when someone asked me out as a guy, I knew that they genuinely liked me because otherwise they wouldn't be doing it, as opposed to being a girl where people just ask just to ask. Number 4, being a nerd, free and clear. I'll level with you. I like D&D, I like elves, I like fantasy, I like sci-fi, I like pretty much everything under the sun there. I spent a large portion of my life reading Jules Verne novels, and to be honest, I love that about myself, and it's not something that I can often express. However, being a female nerd is very different from just being a nerd. When it comes to this, it's like an automatic attraction for other nerds to say, oh my god, a girl! And then I have to come out, and they have to ask me, and all of this stuff, and I just can't sit down and play a game with someone, or play D&D, without them kind of inquiring as to my personal life. Likewise, you carry a different mode being a girl and a nerd at the exact same time because it's starting to become more common, more useful. There are so many women out there watching Doctor Who and being that kind of nerd person and vocalizing it. But there seems to be this kind of mentality about transitioning. And if a girl is in the area and then suddenly says that they used to be a guy, it suddenly makes total sense. And to be honest, I feel that's just plain wrong. Lastly, number 5. Just being mad. Every time I get mad now, I always end up just sitting here, and then tears roll down my eyes. I always feel mad, I feel anxious, I feel deprived, and I just have to make an entire deal out of it. I have to make a show. Whereas when I was a guy, I could just hide my emotions. I could just be like, well, that's mildly annoying, and then move on with my life. However, as a girl, hormones is making me cry because I do have those emotions a little bit more sensitive. Things are just kind of going on. And although I absolutely love that, there are some times where I just want to be mad, have a few days to myself, and not cry over it. So these are my 5 different things that I do miss about being male, not being in transition, and just having those activities that I want to do. And in many cases, this does have something to do with the male privilege and the female responsibilities. And that is something to kind of look at. But it's also something to kind of look at in your personal life, how you as a person have changed due to your transition, not necessarily because of how you feel, but also all the limitations that society still places upon you. It's very important to recognize these, not just as a male to female perspective, but as a personal perspective. What I used to do, what I'm not really able to do now, and what I won't let go despite people wanting me to. So it is Monday, and this is plenty of topics in order to do, so I'm expecting some very creative lists, as I did take a few general ones there. And I look forward to hearing from our viewers as well, right down here in the comments. You always know we love to foster conversation, and if you do have any other questions, simply toss them down there if you'd like them to be public, or send them to our email at transyouthchannel@gmail.com, where you can also submit an application if you would like to be a member on Trans Youth Channel. Thanks, guys. Bye.